Welcome back. Anastasia from Measure Square here. So today is going to go over segment as well as elevation tools. So for this particular lesson, we are going to zoom in nice and tight on this conference/consult room. And we are envisioning that this room is sort of like a conference room. And so we're going to pretend that in these alcoves here, there is some sort of millwork. So we want to render that elevation, right? That millwork in our 3D. And we need to apply our wall base, this blue line here, to the toe kick of our millwork. But currently it's applied to the wall. So how are we going to do this? Let's start with the elevation. So moving into my ribbon, I'm going to find the elevation tool. I'm going to simply click on the tool. Notice when I do so, it gives me crosshairs. I'm going to start on the corner and I'm going to draw a straight line using the alignment, right? That black dashed line to find where that perfect alignment is. Once I get there, I'm going to simply left click. Notice it gives me that pink line around the rest of the shape. If that's correct, all I need to do is simply right click. So first thing you notice is there is a gray border. The gray border means that this elevation is attached to my room. If I click elevation and I draw a box outside of a room, notice there is a purple outline to the elevation. See the difference? Purple to gray. Purple means I have a block floating out in space versus gray is saying that I am attached to a room, therefore I have a floor. So let me go ahead and delete this one. Now, with the elevation, we have several options. So to find those options, you can do one of two things. You can either select the elevation and open the right-hand side property view, or if you double click on the elevation, the property view will automatically open. So if the intent is for us to capture this RS2 all the way wall to wall, then I need to change an option that is currently selected. So notice down here under elevation, I have several options. So I have a wall height. So how tall is this? 3 foot is the default, which is set in our system settings, the gear wheel here. If 3 foot is not the desired height, I can change it. Maybe it's 2'10". And then notice I have deduct ground checked and deduct walls checked. So deduct walls is correct. I want to trim the base, right, which is this blue line that gets attached to the walls because we need to apply wall base at the toe kick of our millwork. But we want to capture our floor product from wall to wall. So I need to unselect deduct ground and you'll see that gray extend all the way to the wall. So let me uncheck it. So see now how my seams go all the way to the wall? That's letting me as the user know that I'm capturing this RS2 product all the way to this wall. But now what do I do about this base? Great question. So I'm going to scroll down in my product list. I'm going to pull out my RB1. Notice it's attached. And then all I need to do is find that front edge and click. Right click to end, deselect the room, and this is what we have going on. So if I select the room and I view it in 3D, this is what we have. Notice the wall base continuously goes from corner to corner. The system understood exactly what we needed it to do. And we have an elevation. It says 2'4" because that is from the top of the 6-inch base to the top of the elevation. Remember, I dialed it to 2'10". So 2'4" plus 6 inches equals 2'10" total. So let me go back. We're going to do that process one more time, but I'm going to put it in this little alcove here. It's a little bit difficult to see with this light gray product. If your product is any other color, you'll be able to see this a little bit more clearly. All right. So now that we have done that, what if there was another way to do this without having to draw the elevation? If the intent here is to capture the the floor product from wall to wall, then wouldn't it be easier just to draw a line instead of having to draw these elevations? Of course it would. So we are going to achieve the same end result, but use a different tool to get there. Instead of drawing an elevation for the millwork that's going to sit here, I'm going to do this in a 2-step process. First one, I'm going to find the upper product list and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find linear eraser. Once I do this, I'm going to drag it out just like I would if it was a product. Notice it is still giving me that upside down A, saying that there's a product or eraser assigned to my mouse. Next, I'm going to highlight the walls that I need to remove the wall base, because again, there's going to be millwork here. We do not want wall base on these walls. Next, I'm going to go into my ribbon and find segment. So the difference between a divider and a segment: divider is going to split your area product versus a segment is not going to split your area product. The line actually sits on top, and it's a line segment that allows you to apply a linear product. So we're going to click segment. Notice I get crosshairs. I'm going to do the same exact process I did with the elevation. I'm going to find the corner, left click, follow that checked black line. Once I get to the opposite side, I'm going to simply left click, right click to end, and now I have a segment. So now I can click and drag out my wall base and apply it to my line. So if I unselect, this is our outcome. Pretty much the same thing. The only difference is if I select the room and I view it in 3D, now you can see I do not have the visual that there is a millwork piece here. I just have the flooring product going wall to wall. And then I am very clearly rendering that wall base, but it's being rendered on the floor. Okay. Again, this line is on top. We are not removing the floor product to apply that wall base to the floor. All right. So now that we have discussed elevation and segment tools, because we have changed this, right, this one room from what it was when we finished our project yesterday, right, the estimation yesterday, we want to highlight this for the sales team to show very specifically what changed. So notice here in the markup section of your ribbon, there is an option for different shapes, right? So we have a poly, and then we have a poly that looks like a cloud. We have different color options here. I recommend red or yellow, as they're very nice and bright and they kind of leap off of the page. But if you choose any of your colors, you can actually go into advanced and very specifically dial in a color if that makes sense for you. You can also change the thickness of how thick these are by points, right? In 1.5 points. So I recommend red and the cloud looking polygon. And so we're just going to start, we're going to start at the corner, and I just want to kind of make this shape just to highlight what specifically we modified. And then if I need to change the shape at all, I can simply grab that and kind of stretch it to the desired shape that I'm looking for. Once I get that there, then maybe I want to add a note. So I'm going to click note. And if I click and drag away, notice it automatically builds an arrow for me. Or maybe we don't even need the arrow, right? Maybe we don't need the note. Maybe we just want an arrow. So if you navigate to line in that markup section, if you click the drop down, notice you have some options down here. Maybe we want the arrow. And so, oh no, it's backwards. This is one thing I want you to be aware of. With note, you're going to click in the area you want and drag away, versus the line arrow. You're going to click from wherever to your area. So that's a little bit of nuance I want to make sure everybody is aware of. Note is clicking in the area and dragging away. Line is dragging from outside toward your subject. So maybe we have a note that is appropriate for multiple areas. And so this would be how we would mention two separate areas. So you would make the note, click and hold, and then you would come back and you would add a secondary arrow to the second area for whatever your note is. What if, for the sake of conversation, we need to call something out? Maybe we have install methods we want to call out. Maybe we have specific transitions we want to call out. Those would be stamp. So if you click the drop down underneath stamp, notice you get all of the same colors that you get for the polygon or the line. You also get the size, which is your overall size of the image. And notice we have symbol and it's got a drop down. So if you click the drop down, these are all of the presets that come defaulted in the program. But what if you have something very specific that you would like to show? Well, if you click the small person, right, directly to the right of symbol, notice you can upload different symbols into your library. So notice I have some 4-foot blinds, some 6-foot blinds, blinds in general. Maybe they don't conform to 4 or 6. Maybe they're a custom size. I also have some roller shades. Notice down here at the bottom, we have import. This will pull up any image file that you desire. And this checkbox down here at the bottom is saying, hey, if you see white as my background, that means I really want it transparent. Sort of like a PNG image file, it sort of just gets rid of your background. So that way, when you place it in the drawing space, it will not cover up the rest of your drawing. You'll be able to see whatever the plan sheet is behind it.
One thing I wanted to mention is that there is a way to use stamps as counts. So let's go ahead and add a door count, which will equate for all of our green transitions. So I'm going to plus here, and then the system's going to ask me what I want. And I'm going to say door count or transition count, you choose. The type is going to be count. And I'm going to make this the same color as my transition, just so that way there's no confusion. And then for this symbol, we obviously can choose from any of the presets, or we can choose nothing and it'll just put a dot. So how about we use our CRM logo just for fun? And then I'm going to turn down the size because I don't want it to be overbearing, and I'm going to save, and then I'm going to move that all the way to the bottom so it marries it right near our transition. And then I'm going to click and drag and place that near any doors that exist. Now, why would we need to do that? You can see I can put it directly on the door should I choose to. I can put it near the door should I choose to. And then I can just place these ... all the way down my corridor. Now, one thing to mention is that third-party estimating will sometimes do a transition count for you. And so I wanted to make sure we're calling that out so everybody understands how to properly see those or quantify those. So that is how to use stamps as a count product. If we want to independently count the doors, right, without having them be associated to a count product, we can effectively just click the stamp and then place these. Now, the difference between using a stamp and doing a count product is to change the size. If you click on it, notice I have a slide bar here, which adjusts the size. When you use it as a count type product, you have to change it in the material itself. But now this stamp is not associated to any count product, whereas the door count material will give you the 14 as a readout for all of the locations that I dropped them. So be aware. One other thing to notate when talking about transitions is this option here. So pretend for the sake of conversation that this resilient sheet to existing is going to be a resilient, and these come in 12-foot lengths most typically. When you put in a size for your transition, this checkbox becomes live. So this option, no piecing together, means that we are not going to take 2 foot of one length of transition and 1 foot of another length of transition to make one 3-foot door. So please be aware that this is also an option, this no piecing together. This ensures that we are taking only full lengths for transitions. So if I save that, will it change? Yes, it does. Look, instead of having 0% waste, I now have 7.9% waste. So be aware that having that no piecing together with an actual size of transition will actually change the required amount of material needed.
And then last but not least, let's do some highlighting, shall we? So HGL right here, this is highlighting. If you simply click on the line, it's going to give you the highlighter. But if you click the drop down, you're going to get several options. So I like to highlight in yellow. I like my opacity to be fairly light. I prefer the rounded corners. So this is square corners. This one's rounded corners. Maybe I need it to be a little bit thicker. This is by font size, so it'll make it nice and clear for you. We also have the option of a horizontal and vertical lock. This means that when I check it, it's only going to draw in straight lines. Or I have the option to highlight a rectangular area. Maybe I want to highlight all of these finishes that are pertaining to our specific scope. So what if I check that? Then I can click and hold and copy everything for our wall base. Very cool, right? Or maybe I just need a single line. And I'm like, here is our floor finishes. Fantastic. Once you've gotten everything you desire to be highlighted, you can right click. What if I want to change this? All you need to do is simply click on the shape that you've created for your highlighting. Notice my property view is open. I can simply change the color. Maybe I want it to be green. Maybe I need it to be a little bit more opaque. Maybe I want it to be thicker. Now, with a box, it's not really going to change the thickness. Just be aware.
But what if we want to highlight something and it's not quite big enough? Or vice versa, what if we take it highlighting and it's too big? Like what if I take this floor finishes and I want to just highlight this? Now that's significantly too big. So this slide here, this thickness, if I dial it down, I can make it as thin or as thick as I desire. Now, the way I like to tell people is if you click on this slide bar, notice how it says 20. You think of it as font size. This will ensure that you're getting the correct size based upon your text. So that being said, we want to make sure that we are highlighting appropriately.
And that's all for today's lesson. Thank you all for your attention and your efforts for today. Should you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our support team. Thank you so much. See you soon.